All right. Hi, everybody. It's Clearbox Coding here, and today we're going to be going over UML diagrams. So in the last two episodes, we went over classes and objects and data encapsulation. Before we go over the other pillars of object-oriented programming, I just want to show you guys how to actually implement these classes given for example, a UML diagram, and just practice implementing classes in general so you can get really good at it before we head on into those next two topics. So if you're a college student, you'll probably see these UML diagrams. Otherwise, I mean, you still see them a lot, but I know like college students, you might have to do this in your class. So all a UML is it's a way, it shows you how to implement your class. So this UML over here is going to show us how we're going to implement our class in Java. And I'm going to teach you how to read this UML really quick, and then we can go just straight into the implementation. So a UML is going to be read from the top to the bottom. With this first thing at the very top, this dog right here is going to be your class name. So this UML is telling us, hey, we're going to create a class called dog. So when we define our Java class, we know to name it dog. The next portion of this UML, from here to here, these are your data fields, or the attributes of your dog, or the characteristics of your dog, however you like to think about it. But these are going to be your data fields. So data fields. And this actually tells you it's actually UMLs. Once you know how to read them, you can implement them fairly easily because it tells you all the information you need to know. We know that we have an attribute called name. We know that the type of this name is going to be string. And really quick on this left side here, usually you're going to see a minus. For right now, you'll just see a minus, which means private. Or you'll see a plus, which just means public. So now looking at this UML, we know that we have a private characteristic, name, which is of type string. So if we were to like code this really quick, it would look like this. Private string age, or name, sorry. And that's it. That's all we would put. We would do class dog, private string name, and all the other data fields are going to be the same. This one is private because it's a minus right here. Then it's int, the type is int, and it's age. It's called age. So we would implement this private int age. And last one, we see it's private on the left side. So this is another private one. So we know that they're trying to encapsulate this data. Private string read. So that's it. We already finished the first half of our UML. So this top part is the class name. This second part right here is our data fields or attributes of the class. And inside, the way that you read these data fields is you're going to read the accessor, which is private or public. Then you're going to read the type, which is string, and then the actual attribute, which is called name. So private string name, private int age, private string breed. Now for this part, these are all of our methods. So these are all of our methods. The thing is, these top two methods are actually special methods. If you notice, they have the same name as the class. So in Java, when you have a method that's the same name as your class, that's going to be one of your constructors. So these two top methods, dog here and then dog here with name, age, and breed, these are going to be our constructor methods. So what we actually create our dogs with. And we're going to implement this in Java, but this one right here is a default constructor, and we know it's a default constructor because we take in nothing. There's no parameters here. So if the user gives us no information about the dog they want to create, then we'll just create them any dog. And then this one over here is our overloaded constructor. This is overloaded because we do take in information about the dog, and we're going to set these values to the values that we take in here. All right. So now that we went over these methods, the rest, these are just treated like regular methods. All of these, get name, set name, get age, bark, and toString. So get name, set name, we went over in the last videos. These are getters and setters, or accessors and modifiers. These are just gonna return the name or give us information about the dog and allow us to modify information about the dog. The way you read these methods too is going to be the same way. So this is a public method. Its return type is going to be string, and the name of the method is called getName. So there's our getter method. Here we have our setter method. It's a public method. The return type is going to be void, and the name of the method is setName. Get age is going to be similar. Bark is a behavioral method. So this is going to be a public method. Return type is going to be void, and the name of the method is bark. And then toString is a method that a lot of classes have that you're going to implement. What it does is it's going to return all the information about your dog in a string format. But we're going to implement these methods in a second when we actually go to Eclipse and start coding this in Java. But I wanted to give you a quick overview of what UMLs are and how you should read them. Remember, top to bottom, class over here, data fields here, methods in here. All right, so let's get into the Java implementation. All right, so now let's get into the implementation of our UML diagram. So now we're in Eclipse. I have the UML in the corner right here. And we're gonna go into our P1 package. We already made this cat and test cat in the previous videos. So now let's start a new class. It wants us to make a dog class, so we'll name this class dog. And we'll just hit finish. All right, so now we have our class created. So we already finished the first part of this UML over here. We finished this dog portion right here. So the next part, after class name, is going to be our data fields. So like I said in the previous video, or in the previous portion, this minus means private. So this is going to be private, and then it's going to be the type of the data field, which is string, and then the name of the data field, which in this case is name. All right, so that's our first data field. Now let's do the age data field. So private int age. And the last data field is breed, and it's going to be private string breed. Okay. So now that we did that, we already finished like the first half of our UML. We did the class name and we finished the data fields, or the attributes / like characteristics of the dog. So we have a blueprint class dog. We define that our dog is going to have characteristics name, age, and breed. And now let's get into the next part of this UML, which is going to be the constructors. So the first constructor is, okay, I'm going to start with the overloaded constructor because I feel like it's more intuitive, but we're going to do the default as well. So that plus next to the constructor means public dog. And like I said, I'm going to start with the overloaded constructor. So this one's going to take in values, string, name, int age, and string breed. All right, perfect. So we created our constructor. The way we know it's a constructor is because it has the same name as our class. And we're taking in for this constructor, it has parameters name, age, and breed. So that means we're going to take in name, age, and breed. So someone tells us they want us to create a dog. They give us the name, age, and breed of the dog. Now we're going to represent this dog in our code. So this dot name is equal to name. We're setting our dog's name value. This dog's name value is going to be equal to whatever name they pass here. So the attribute data field name gets set equal to whatever name they pass. All right. This dot age is going to be equal to age. This dot breed is going to be equal to breed. All right, so that's it for our overloaded constructor. We're all done with that. Now I'm going to do the default constructor. It's the one above the overloaded in the UML diagram. So public dog So this is a default constructor because it has no parameters. We're not taking in any values. So if we don't take in any values, we could set the values to whatever we want. So we'll do this dot name is equal to, we'll name our dog Hazel. This dot age is going to be equal to 5. And this dot breed is gonna be equal to husk, or we'll make it equal to poodle. So we have our default and overloaded constructors. So we created our default. If they give us no information about the dog, we're just gonna set the dog to Hazel 5 poodle. If they give us information about the dog, we're going to set our dog's values to whatever information they gave us. And remember, these actually create the dogs. So now that we're done with our constructors, we can move on to our regular methods. If you noticed, we encapsulated our data here by setting all these data fields to private. So now we're going to allow for controlled access via these getters and setters. So let's do get name. So public, because the plus next to it. So public string is the return type, and then get name is the name of the method. Public string get name, and then here we're just going to return this dot name. So if they call this method on the object, it's going to return the name value of that object. Public void set name. This one is going to take in a new name. I forgot to put that inside the parameter, but this one does take in a new name. So string name, and it's going to set that new name to, or it's going to set our object's name to whatever name they give it. So public void set name, this takes in a string name, and it sets this object's name to whatever name is passed here. After this, we have a get age. So public int get age, and this is gonna return this dot age. Remember, for these, we don't need to take in any values because we're just returning the object's age value, which we already have access to. After get age, we have bark. So public bark, or public void bark. And this one in here, it's a behavioral method, so you could just put whatever you want. But we'll do system.out.println bark. All right, so we created this behavioral method called bark, and this is just going to print out bark. And the last method we have is toString. So remember that plus in front means public. So public, this is going to return a string, string, toString. And the way that toString methods work is they're just going to return a, a big string with all the values of your data fields. So for example, name, we're going to concatenate this. So we'll make it look nice by doing this. Name, and then plus this dot name plus then we'll do comma age plus this dot age. Then we'll do comma breed and plus this dot breed. This is just concatenating all of our values. Then after this, we'll just put a closing bracket. So when it prints out, it's going to do name and then whatever the name of the dog is, age, whatever the age of the dog is, breed, and whatever the breed of the dog is. So that's it. We fully implemented this UML. Let's test it out really quick. So let's create a new class. We'll call it test dog. And in here, we're going to do public static void main string args. So we have our main method, and let's create some dogs in our main method. We'll do dog d1 is equal to new dog. So really quick, ask yourself what constructor this is calling. So we create a dog d1. We set it to new dog. We didn't pass any values. So this is going to go to our dog class and use the constructor that didn't take in any values, and set its values to Hazel, 5, and Poodle. So if we go here and we do system dot out dot println d1 dot toString. So we created this toString method to neatly see all the values of our dog. So yeah, so name is Hazel, age is 5, and breed is Poodle. Let's create another dog. We'll use the overloaded constructor for this dog. So dog d2 is going to be equal to new dog. For this one, we'll do Fido as the name. The age will be 6, and we'll make the breed. We'll make the breed husky. All right, so now we created a dog 2. What constructor is this going to call? Well, if we look here, we passed it the name, the age, and the breed. So let's go back to our dog class. This constructor doesn't take in anything, so it's not going to go to this one. It's going to go to the constructor that takes in the name, the age, and the breed, and set the dog's name to whatever value we gave it. So we gave it Fido. So this dog's name is going to be equal to Fido. This dog's age is going to be equal to whatever value we gave it, which is 6. And this dog's breed is going to be equal to whatever value we gave it, which is husky. So in our test dog class, let's do system dot out dot println d2 dot toString. So if we run this, yeah, we have Hazel on the top, and then we have Fido on the bottom. I believe actually one cool thing about Java, let me see if I'm right about this. one cool thing about Java is that if you have a toString method and you just print the object, I believe Java is gonna automatically print that toString method. Yeah. So if you have a toString method in Java and you don't need to do d2.toString, Java will actually automatically go to the toString object and print that toString if you just try to print out the object itself. Um, but yeah, so we were able to implement this UML fairly quickly. I'll probably have another practice for you guys. I'll go over another UML, maybe one that's more complicated. But after this, we're gonna maybe do some more practice, and then we'll get right into inheritance and polymorphism. Thank you for watching.